What's going on? My name's Minute, and I play way too many fighting games. But in my travels of playing way too many fighting games and eliminating some and bitching about others and enjoying these ones and playing them pretty much for 20 years of my life, a good chunk of my life, I have learned that the learning process has this amazing shortcut, and it's something I want to share with you today. And that shortcut, flashcards. Now, anybody who's been in school, back in my day, we used to use flashcards all the time because technology had not dominated our lives to that point yet. Usually you had a notebook. The girls had something from Lisa Frank. There was a South Park episode that talked about like trapper keepers. Those used to be a big thing. Just collecting all your info in a cute way before we had Facebook pages and Twitter feeds and all this bullshit. So what I've discovered is that these flashcards, especially in Tekken, make the process of learning and applying your learning that much quicker and easier. So I'm going to show you my secret method to quickly and concisely learn a Tekken character using a flashcard and just some simple resources. So first things first, why would we write these down on a piece of physical media rather than a app? Well, I'm here to, first of all, let me tell you here now, do not use any apps for this. Do not use any electricity. Don't use your tablet. Don't use your phone. Don't use your computer browser. None of that. If you're thinking of, oh, I'll just boot up my flashcard app and I'll scribble everything in on there, no. The secret to this whole thing, I'm going to spill it for you right now. We're only a minute and 20 seconds into this video, roughly, but the secret to this is that writing things down physically with a pen and paper is extremely beneficial to actual memory retention and firing the neurons in your brain better. I don't know how to summarize that any more concisely, but there are many articles that go through why, how, and the studies that have been done with children during their learning process when they're learning to read and write, and adults learning to retain memory through the use of apps or physical media. That's a long-winded way of me saying you need something physical to write this down on. So please, get a pen or a pencil, something to write with. Get a charcoal pen. Get a crayon. Who gives a shit? If you're a Horong player or an Elisa player, you might need the crayon, or you might have a fresh batch that you haven't eaten yet. So now you want to take those out, and you want to go and get yourself a piece of paper. I heavily recommend the flashcards. They do not need to be flashcards, but the flashcards are the easiest because for two main reasons. One, portability. You can easily take them with you to an offline event, online event. Personally, me, I take them. I take this little card holder that I got from, I think I found it in like a bin somewhere in some trash for like an office building or something, but I've taken it. I've had this Rolodex. It is a Rolodex brand one. You can see a little name there. I've had this little Rolodex shitty card holder for at least 10 years. So I've had this for 10 years. It hasn't even chipped. I don't know how that's possible. But you just take that, you put that right next to your monitor, and you put your flashcards in it. So when you're playing the game, now I can have all the information right next to my monitor without having to Alt-Tab or anything like that. So the portability aspect is there. And guess what? It's time to go to the major. It's time to go to your local. It goes right in your pocket. How awesome is that? I don't even need to charge my phone up. Wonderful. So even if your broke ass forgot your charger and went to the local and then sat down and realized, oh my God, I completely forgot all my B&Bs. Mr. Flashcard's always there for you. Doesn't need to be powered to do so. So that is why I would say one big reason is the portability. The second one is if you're doing it with a flashcard and you're teaching yourself to get the basics of the information down, you teach yourself to be more brief. As a famous man, William Shakespeare, once said, brevity is the soul of wit. You want to write things down that are important. You don't want to write a bunch of bullshit that's going to distract you from the main thing. This is part of why I say flashcards are good, is because you only need two flashcards. You got the combos on one, you got the essentials on the other. So with Tekken, all you need is two cards. And we're going to show you those essentials right now. Let me document. I'm going to recommend, this is a bonus. You do not have to use this, but it does make things way, way, way easier. I need you to go to Google, and I need you to type in Tekken 8 library. So I would say the majority of the information on this document is still valid and useful. Please use this if you get the chance. So you want to look up the Tekken 8 library or any resource for any fighting game you're playing. Most fighting games these days have some kind of there's a super combo wiki, there's a cheat sheet somewhere, there's a Reddit to go check out, there's a Discord to go check out. A little bit of Googling goes a long way with these fighting games. We've got all the information laid out for you. This just so happens to be the best Tekken one that I can think of, rather than going through the whole move list and having to write everything down yourself. So with Tekken, not only do we have all these moves and this document here to help you, I would say roughly, let's go if I actually grab the page here. You don't need to pay attention to the right side, but you do need to pay attention to this side. So what you want to do is you want to go to that document, and I need you to pay attention to this. When I said there only needed to be 2 flashcards made per Tekken character, that's what I meant. The right side of this board, so everything above me here would be combos. That much is obvious. This is usually what newer Tekken players go right to, which is understandable. Combos are the most fun part of Tekken. I can completely understand wanting to learn a taunt jet upper, wanting to learn some big Brian 95 damage combo that goes to the wall and gets crazy oki. That's wonderful. But if you're starting with the foundational stuff, you only want to really concern yourself with the left side of the board. You see what I mean? We're looking mostly at these moves here. Heat engagers, important moves, punishers, guaranteed follow-ups, grabs, and the heat system. Now, with Tekken 8 is very different because it has a lot of the things that existed in the legacy part of the game, but it also has a very, very, very big part of the game dedicated to a couple of newer idea of moves, which are crushing moves and heat engagers, or crushing moves being heat engagers, rage arts, and then also heat moves. So in Tekken, with Tekken 8, I would say there's about 6 or 7 pillars to the game, and in order to fully encapsulate them in your mind and put them together easier, I'm going to show you the method right now. So when you it's not just about, oh, I'm going to write down all these moves that exist. No, it's more about what I'm going to show you right here. You want to think of what category does each move of my character fit into? And to do that, all we need to do is go to, I think I got the document right here. Yes. So I'm going to just list the 6 pillars of Tekken, and I need you to understand why we use them. It should be 7, but I can't really, I guess I'll say 7. We'll say the 7 pillars of Tekken. I guess that kind of rolls off the tongue a little better. 7 pillars of Tekken 8. And then I would just say, just as an aside here, we'll just do movement. Self-explanatory. Go watch VDX or some other pro player's movement guide for more. There you go. Just wanted to write that down to keep it obvious. So this is currently we're going on about a 7.5-minute seminar, but this is only going to be 8 minutes. I'm just going to go through quickly and explain this stuff to you. You can read it if you want. The 7 pillars of Tekken are as follows: pokes, heat, pressure, punishment, crushing, combos, and movement. So if you're actually putting it together on a flashcard, you don't really need the combos or the movement. The combos will go on their own card, and that's exactly what it sounds like. When you have the combos down, you go find a YouTube video, you go find some document somewhere, you go to a Discord and look up B&Bs. You just ask around. Anybody who plays the character will usually share with you the information you seek if you go looking for it. And the combo card, you already know how to make that. You probably know how to write down combos. Go do that on one of these flashcards. You'll be fine. But if you want to do stuff besides the combos, which is where the gameplay is actually most important or needs the most work to be put together, you want to put your moves into one of those other 5 categories. So on one card, I want you to put 5 different categories: pokes, heat, pressure, punishment, crushing moves. And as you can see here, it's exactly what it sounds like. For pokes, low risk, low reward. They usually just give you frames, or with some moves are very, very strong pokes. I would say some moves, I guess I wouldn't call that a move, but I guess I'm overthinking it. But a poke is exactly what it sounds like. It's a jab. It's a fast mid, like with King, it'd be like just a nice juicy down forward 1. And these usually come with very low risk, because if I was to poke with King, one of his best pokes is 2-1, which is simple high mid, just nice and fast. Starts at 10 frames on a 1-2-1 counter hit. 2-1 is guaranteed. So it's not going to provide a huge reward. It's going to provide frames and it's going to provide damage, but it's not going to provide an insane amount of both. Like hitting a 2-1 counter hit is not going to give me a free combo afterwards. I don't believe. If it does, I got to look that up. But these are the moves you want to be using in unison with movement. So poking and movement almost go together. You want to use poking and movement too, as soon as I say there, are best used to create space for yourself or push an opponent into a bad situation against a wall. Maybe you want to escape a wall by poking and moving. Poking and movement goes together, and that is one of the biggest parts of Tekken. So you definitely want to keep that in mind. I want you to write your character's best pokes. Usually they've got a couple that track to the weak side. Usually they've got a couple that either provide some kind of big frame advantage or they have extensions that your opponent has to look out for. One good example would be King's down forward 2 is a counter hit launcher, so it's one of the best pokes in the game because it's only a 13 frame mid. So some moves fit into multiple categories. However, you want to identify the main pokes and then use them. Usually in that document I showed you with the app play, it will say something to the effect of quick jab, or if we look over here on the left, this is why this document's pretty good. The important moves section will usually have quick jab to start offense, quick mid poke to check opponent. This is the example I gave you with King. A down forward 1-2 with King can be an example of a poke string that is only -10 on block. Do I take a risk by using it? Yes. Is the risk that big? Not really. If you're only -10, you're going to be okay unless you're fighting Yoshi and you're going to get flashed. Sorry, can't help you there. But you see what I mean. Even though a down forward 1-2 doesn't provide a huge reward, the damage is good, but the risk is low because if I do a down forward 1-2, it's pretty chunky, it's going to hit them, and even if they block it, I'm only -10, so I'm not going to die from doing that unless I'm very low health already. So you see my point. And then if we just go back here, we can go back to the 7 pillars. And then Heat, I would put, these aren't in order or anything. I just kind of put them the best way I could easily list them. Heat is exactly what it sounds like. Usually comes with moderate risk, high reward, because with this game, offense is rewarded all over the place. That's just the nature of Tekken 8. So Tekken, when you hit a certain Heat engager, it says, okay, now your offense continues. You get an engager, and the opponent can do things to counteract that, but for the most part, you're in the advantage, and you can fuck them up. Now it becomes a guessing game. So the only thing I can say about Heat for certainty is not everybody is the same. Everybody's got slightly different moves. Some characters are a little more geared towards simple mix-ups. Some characters have hell sweeps like Paul, really good ones that don't need clean hit. Paul's a good example. Some characters have kind of mediocre, maybe not the best Heat engagers in the game. Some characters have amazing ones, like I would say King's is fantastic just because it's so fast and provides such a big damage boost. And you're so afraid of it that it opens up his throw game because it's such a quick and explosive mid that it makes them stand still, so they have to take your throws a little bit unless they threaten getting power bombed. And characters like Dragunov that just continue the oppression session by providing more and more plus frames. Every character is different, slightly. The one thing I will say that is a good thing about Tekken 8 is even though I don't agree with a lot of the balance decisions, Heat is a good thing. Pressure. This is essentially the most fun part of the game. This is where you're in a plus frame situation, or you're in a situation where the opponent is not going to press a button, or you've conditioned them, or maybe you're just playing the game with your friends and you like to use the big explosive moves. Pressure moves. These are very similar to Heat moves, but they usually are chunkier and don't always lead to huge damage as much as they lead to big chunky animations or good situations. So all the examples I give down there are very proper. So we're looking for big, thick moves. With King, if I was to give his example, it'd be like forward, forward 1, forward 4, up forward 1+2. Up 1+2 is the new input. I'm sorry about that. Or a Waivu throw. Brian back 1, quarter circle back 1, quarter circle back 3. These are moves that will move you forward or are made to aggress on your opponent. These are not punishment moves usually. They're not usually crushing moves. Like, they're not moves you're doing to steal a turn as much as they're moves you're using to bully your opponent or go in on your opponent. So, a very apt couple of moves, I would say, are pressure moves, are Dragunov's wall running 2 and quarter circle forward 4. Those are two extremely offensive moves that are easy to execute, and if you get good at using them, you can really oppress your opponent for a long time. So that's part of the reason Dragunov is so good, is because his oppression moves are very easy to do and can be chained into one another with his sneak cancels and a whole bunch of his other stuff. So that is where pressure comes in. And the note I leave there is true. These are pretty often the most fun moves to use. With King, pressure move beside that forward 1 and that forward 4 are throws. I could wave dash in there and try to throw you. These are pressure moves. These are things that you use to aggress on your opponent that move you forward and want to put them in a bad situation. Then punishment. This is the most important thing I would say new players really need to learn and focus on. If you're punishing a lot, you will rank up no matter what else happens. You could have the worst combos in the game, you could have the worst movement in the game, but if you are dedicating yourself to punishment, you will improve dramatically. Why is that? The first thing I put in the list right here. No risk, moderate, high reward. If you are punishing correctly, and by punishing, I mean ducking highs to launch those highs, or knowing what your opponent's minus strings are and punishing them correctly, if you know those two things, you will dominate almost all the competition you will face. You will instantly get to Fujin and above, and you will instantly be better than 90% of players because punishment takes simple knowledge checks. It takes you looking at your opponent, visually seeing that they are still in recovery frames, or better yet, just going and doing the work in training mode and using the punishment training. This is why I note this right here. Use the punishment training feature. Most characters, they have their biggest and most annoying moves in the punishment training feature, and you can learn how to visually see them, punish them, and respond to them with that amazing little training mode. And I'm pretty sure you can customize it to do it yourself without having to use the default version that Tekken provides you. So it's a powerful tool. You need to use it. And then, because we go back to the flashcards, it's pretty easy to take your flashcard, I'm going to show you mine right here, and write down things like poking, pressure, punishment, and then remember where they go. Notice how I say the punishment and the poking have arrows going towards the pressure? That is because the pressure is the main thing we want to do because we want to get rewarded for a counter hit launch or a big fat low like into plus frames. Like maybe we're playing King, I'm doing forward, forward, neutral 2. Maybe I'm playing Brian, we're doing a hatchet kick. Maybe I'm playing what's another example? Maybe I'm playing Azucena and I have one of those lows that goes into stance, or I have something that goes into a 50-50 mix. You know how it is. But the pressure is where a lot of your offensive game plan is going to funnel towards. So use the pokes and use the punishment to get to the pressure. You see what I mean? Then, as we go a little lower, the final important thing, besides combos and movement, which are very obvious, is crushing moves. Now, this is where kind of Tekken gets very frustrating, is because there's a lot of turn stealing in this game. There's a lot of, oh, I used my Power Crush Heat Engager. Let's say you're playing Shaheen and you pull that back 3+4 out of your pocket. I'm pretty sure that's a 16-frame high, heat engaging, just an insane move to steal turns. Oh, I'm at a minus situation, but my opponent didn't use a move that goes under my high or high crushes or does something like that. I'm going to steal my turn back by using this extremely strong Power Crush move. Those are crushing moves. There's a lot of these in Tekken 8. I play King, I play Paul. The two moves I would say are extremely good for both those characters is King's is obvious. It's the roar. It's the big down back 1+2 roar. If you throw a button out and I'm doing that, I can cancel it into my 2, which is a safe mid heat engager. I can cancel it into a giant swing. A thing I like to do is I like to do the roar from long range because it cancels so quickly that it's very easy to do a roar from long range and then a forward, forward, neutral 2 to catch the opponent throwing out a random high. And that is a high crush that leads to a mini combo. So, crushing moves are anything in your move list that can steal a turn by armor or evasiveness. So this also counts for the game's systems because everybody's got heat and everybody's got rage arts. So hitting your heat burst to have the opponent get off of you, or hitting a heat smash while you're heated to catch an opponent at a bad time is the same thing as using a rage art or a power crush or a parry or a backswing blow. Anything listed in this crushing section is essentially just, if you're good at timing and you're using these moves correctly, you're going to piss everybody off. So check your character out, see if they have any good crushing moves. Some characters barely have any. Some characters have ridiculous ones. I would say King's is pretty ridiculous for how functional it is at long range. It definitely destroys neutral. But you want to identify those moves and you want to write them down. One example I gave was I was doing this Heihachi card here, and as you can see in the bottom right in the crushing section, I wrote down back 1+2, medium high reversal, and then I wrote down also his power crush, which is up forward 1. I completely forgot he had it because barely anybody uses it. And then I wrote down forward 1+2, which is the universal rage art input. So beyond that, when you're making your second card, it's just combos, man. It's exactly what it sounds like. Like at the bottom, I say, like it says at the bottom here, go find a YouTube video or your favorite Twitch streamer and just copy them. It's monkey see, monkey do. Combos are the easiest part of Tekken 8 to learn. Write them down, practice them. It's just that easy. Movement, that's a little tougher. You're going to need to go practice that. I'm not sure how to drill it efficiently. I'm not a pro player. I have not won money in a tournament for this game yet, outside of some casuals. But I would heavily recommend you go check out, I think FeedEX has got a good guide. I think Speedkicks has got a good one. Trizzy the Rapper, I think, has got a good one. There's a couple of players in the modern era that have made great videos about movement. Go check those out, and you'll add your 7th pillar. Anywho, just to summarize everything in a short and quick way, because we're right about 20 minutes, and I think that's a good little seminar. If you want to learn Tekken easier, I want you to take the character you know. I want you to take your own ass over to Walmart or Target, whatever store. Go to the mom and pop. Go to your neighbors. Go to your best friend's house and just ask, hey, man, you got any flashcards lying around? They might have some in a closet somewhere. Go get the flashcards. Go get some kind of box to put them in. Or, fuck it, put it in your desk. I don't care. You don't need the box, but the box is handy if you want to keep them together. This cost me about $5. This cost me about $5. This is a box for 3x5 index cards and 1 stack of index cards. With tax, this cost me $6.48 at Walmart today. It is currently 2025 February. Our economy is currently being destroyed. They haven't gotten to destroy the flashcards yet, all right? But I didn't do this video to be political. I did this video to help you guys get better at Tekken. Get those flashcards. Use them to write down the information that we discussed. If you need to find the AppLay library, just look up and Google Tekken 8 library. You can apply all these same things to other fighting games. You just have to identify the most important moves in the games, what they do, and then you have to write them down so you can practice them later. Once you've gotten all your moves written down, then you just take the card and you put it in your card holder. You don't even need the card holder. You can just prop it right up against your monitor. I'm just doing that right now. I just put it at the bottom. Just take whatever you've got to put your flash card there and leave it right next to the monitor, so when you boot up the game and you're playing it, all it takes is a casual glance to the right. You don't have to alt-tab. You don't have to lag the game because you're trying to talk in Discord or you're trying to rip out your notes. You just have the information right there. And your brain has the information because you wrote it down and fired off some neurons. Get out there and play some Tekken, man. Have a good one.